Hello, this is Steph Morrison from the Canadian Schoolhouse, and I am here with Kristen Stewart, who is also, she does a few things, but especially on the Canadian side, she is the content manager. So she does a lot of stuff with our content. And she is also really, I love hearing her talk. So you're going to have a treat listening to her talking about reading for entertainment. And this week, we are kind of just doing a little celebration of reading and how important it is, and how fun it is and engaging and all those great things to have reading, especially as homeschoolers. Now, it's whether you're homeschoolers, whether you're 90 years old, whether you're 3 years old, like reading, there's so many benefits to it. So we just want to highlight those this week. We are going to be live here at 12 o'clock Eastern. It's actually 10 o'clock my time. I'm in Central. And while you're on the East Coast, Kristen, you are in
Yeah, it's 1 o'clock. I am Atlantic Standard Time. So
okay. Oh, that's right. And you're 1 hour. I don't know why sometimes I think you're actually 1 hour before me, but that's the opposite side of the country. Sometimes I'm putting you over in BC, I guess. So I am just going to give it away to you. I know you've got some stuff planned. We're going to focus to this one on reading for entertainment. So take it away, Kristen.
Okay, great. I am super happy to be here talking about one of my very favorite things to talk about. I personally love to read, and so it was very important for me to develop that love for reading in my family and my children because I know the benefits that come from from that love of reading, and it gives you an escape. It gives you an ability to learn about other things and appreciate other people and their experiences that you don't get to experience. And, it just gives you something to do on long car rides, and it can really bond the family together. So reading for enjoyment is really the number one beginning reason that your kids are going to love to read or that they're going to pick up on reading. And that starts before they're even able to read themselves. They can learn to love books for enjoyment. So that just comes with reading to your children right from the time that they're born, really. They can learn to love looking at the books, looking at the creative illustrations. You can get the tactile books where you're, rubbing the fuzzy bear's tummy and like scratching the alligator scales and the different things to touch. You can get Lift the Flap books. You can get the kids books where they press buttons and make noises. Those are things that are gonna engage your really young kids that aren't gonna be learning about their sounds yet. And they might not even be picking up too much on the actual story, but they're still finding enjoyment through the reading process and the connecting with their parent process. That becomes something that is something for kids to look forward to snuggle up with mom or snuggle up with dad and look through a book. And kids that are too young to read can still enjoy that. Your babies, your toddlers, your preschoolers, they're all going to be able to enjoy snuggling up with you and having you read them a story. And that's where they are going to begin that early in life to see reading as entertainment, as something to do to fill the time. And that carries on into how we want to kind of lure, it's not a great word, but it's what's coming into my mind right now, lure our kids into creating that love of independently reading. And thanks for putting that up, Steph. Create a Culture of Reading in Your Home is an article that I wrote about this. I know Steph's putting the link to that in the comments for this. So one way that we want to start getting our kids excited about reading before we ever start teaching them how to read, we want them to want to know how to read because they've already found enjoyment in the books. I think we've all experienced in life how much easier it is to learn something that we want to learn. So maybe we never showed any interest in crocheting. This would be a personal example of mine. And then, eventually, oh, I would really like to be able to make a blanket. So now I care about it. I'm interested in it. Now I'm going to learn it. It's so much easier to learn it when I'm invested in it because I want to know how. And that's why we want our kids to see reading as enjoyable, to see it as entertainment, because that gives them the want to learn how to read. Because they already know, oh, this is really fun. I love looking at these books. Mom doesn't always have time to read to me. That gives them the incentive to want to learn on their own. So as our kids get a little bit older, as they get a little bit closer to being capable of learning to read, there are some things we can do to encourage our kids to read for enjoyment. So one great thing that I love to do is just have books out, have books everywhere. There are books everywhere in my house, and you don't have to spend a lot of money to do this. If you want to own them, there are lots of good options for books at thrift stores. Buy and sell. So many people, even me sometimes read a book and then, I'm not going to read this again. So I'm going to sell it on a buy and sell site, yard sales, and your local library. You can go on your library site and order the books you want, or you can just go in and browse. So I like to have books available everywhere, especially in those high traffic areas where your kids are going to see them a lot. So I know it sounds silly, but a little basket by the toilet, a little basket by their bed. I like to have some out by the couch where they might grab one when they're sitting down. You can leave them on the table or on a coffee table, on an end table. Just leave books out and have books out of different things and of their interests. So if you know that your child loves dinosaurs, well, then head into the library and get a variety of books on dinosaurs and have those laying out so that they're going to want to pick that up and look through it. One of the first books that drew my youngest daughter in was like a 300 or 400 page book about dogs. And it was just all the different kinds of dogs. It was like one of those dog encyclopedias or something. And it was like, 300 or 400 pages. She wasn't reading it, but she would sit with that book every day because she just loved looking through it and seeing all the different dogs and picking out her favorite. So this giant book was drawing in my little 4-year-old, making her always pick it up. So, you don't know what's going to pull your kids' interest. Get some nonfiction books, get some fiction books, some books with their favorite TV characters, even some books about animals, books about anything that you can think of that might draw them in. You can get nonfiction, fiction, and leave them spread out, leave them around for them to pick up so that that's going to ignite their enjoyment, their entertainment with the books. They're seeing, oh, I'm going to sit down and look through this. And that's fun. That's giving me something to do. We also have the library scavenger hunt, which is linked in the comments that you can do to get your kids looking around at the library. As they get older, they can go and look for books to enjoy themselves. But having those books laying around is really the first way. Well, the second way. First way is reading to them. And then the second way is to get them wanting to find that enjoyment for themselves. And so having those books laying around is really going to help with that. And that really will help when they're ready to start reading because they've already seen the benefits. They want to look at the books, and then they're more interested in learning to read. So that's a really good way to do it. And just to find things that that they're interested in. It's always good to read to your kids, no matter how old they are, no matter how good of a reader they are, you can still read to them. You can still find enjoyment with them. My 11-year-old daughter, she's been reading since she was 4 or 5. She is an avid reader. She reads. I cannot keep enough books for her, but I still read to her, even though she could read them herself. Sometimes I think, oh, she might like this book, even though she wouldn't pick it up on her own. And I will read it to her, and she loves that. That's entertaining to her, and it's something we get to do together. Another way that I love books for reading for entertainment is I always have a read aloud going with the kids. So now, ever since they were school age, like age 4 and 6 and on, I would have some type of small chapter book. Now they're larger chapter books, and I'd have it with me. So if we were waiting at the doctor's office, I'm reading to them. They don't need to play on a phone. I'm going to read to them. If we're waiting at a restaurant, I'm reading to them. If we're waiting for the ferry to go to where we live, I've got a book, I can read to them. And that is another great way that they get to see that books are entertainment. As an adult, I like to bring books with me to read when I'm waiting. So this is how I can model this for them. This is what mom likes to do. I'm going to, teach you to do it too. I'm going to read to you while we're waiting. And that lets them have entertainment and enjoyment with reading together as a family. They can look forward to it. We started with little tiny books like My Father's Dragon and some of those, younger chapter books. And now we've built up to bigger ones. So just reading together as a family, leave those books out, help your kids find books on things that they're interested in. There are lots of books on every topic that you can think of. So if your child has an interest, help them find books. Search the library, search Amazon, look for books on that topic. There are so many book lists out there. I know we have a family favorite read aloud list that we're linking in the article. You can Google lists for 11-year-old boys or Google lists for boys that love sports. And the Read Aloud family has a lot of lists as well. So, putting things that they are going to want to read in front of them and helping them directing them toward things that they're going to enjoy are really good ways to read for entertainment. And I could go on and on about this topic, but I think that's enough for today. So Steph, I don't know if you have anything to add or if you just want to cut it off there, but I'm going to stop myself before I talk all day about books.
I know we could be on here and we could talk back and forth for a long time about books. I want to say some of those articles in there. Well, all those articles are on the Canadian Schoolhouse. I wanted to say that those are, so what we do on Facebook, especially, or in our Facebook group, it's like the book series, like what favorite books have you, but that is one of our most popular posts, looking for the right word, where people are commenting and sharing on that. And I love looking at those myself. I have 2 boys. My one son is a really avid reader, and I think partly he kind of always has been, but it's partly like I'm always trying to find a good series for him. My older son, and he's 15, and he's never really been the avid reader, but I like all those things you said are really effective. So whether your children are super love to read, or they're just like they read because you tell them to, like all those tips you mentioned are ways to get them, and I like that word of like creating the atmosphere of reading in your home. And you talked about a lot of those things. So go and check out all of those articles that are in the links there. That'll be a lot of additional resources for this. And if you haven't already liked our page on Facebook, or this is also streaming and the recording will be there on YouTube, please subscribe to our channel. The Old Schoolhouse is the name on the channel. Here we've got our own page, the Canadian Schoolhouse, actually homeschooling across Canada. You'll also find us that way on Facebook, and subscribe and join in on that conversation either here or on any of our many posts we have about reading. So thanks so much. And we will be back tomorrow with another live stream, but you can watch the recording. So watch it on your own time or join us and share your comments with us tomorrow live. Bye for now.
Awesome. Thanks, Steph.